Welcome back to the Truth Factory. The Mueller witch hunt is finally over, and as we've known all along, there was no collusion. And while Mueller was investigating this nothing burger for the last 2 years, I was doing my own research. Here's a timeline summary of what really happened. Everything I'm about to tell you is absolutely true, yet you won't see this in the Mueller report or in the mainstream media because the truth directly contradicts the left's agenda. Now pay close attention because there are more twists and characters in the story than in Game of Thrones. It all started when Hillary Clinton was using an unsecured private server for her emails, which included classified information. Now she was likely doing this to avoid complying with Freedom of Information Act requests that could be filed by the media and the public. The only reason she would use a private email server is if she had something to hide, and of course she did. On July 24, 2014, a Reddit user asked how to scrub emails of a VIP. That user was Paul Combata and the VIP was Hillary Clinton. It was also later revealed that she had her aide smash BlackBerries with a hammer to destroy evidence. I'm sure that's something totally innocent people do. In 2014, Seth Rich began working for the DNC as a voter expansion data director. April 7th, a DNC strategy memo is leaked naming Donald Trump as one of the Pied Piper candidates that they will try to discredit any way that they can in case he makes it to the primaries. May 14, 2015, in an interview, Kim.com claims that Julian Assange and WikiLeaks would be Hillary Clinton's worst nightmare in 2016.
You tweeted that you were going to be Hillary's worst nightmare in 2016. How so?
Well, I have to say it's probably more Julian, but I'm aware of some of the things that are going to be roadblocks for her.
August 12th, Seth Rich starts asking questions about voter integrity at an election data summit.
How do we get better access to data that tells us why ballots are rejected, why ballots are cast as provisional, so that we can analyze that and then develop better training guides?
June 9th, 2016. Don Jr. meets with a Russian lawyer named Natalia Veselnitskaya under the guise that she has dirt on Clinton. But this was a bait and switch, and she was actually an anti-Trump plant who was a Fusion GPS associate who met with its founder Glenn Simpson before and after the Trump Tower meeting. This meeting was later used to try to tie Trump to Russia. But what the media failed to report is that this lawyer had an expired visa at this time and was granted a very rare special immigration parole by Loretta Lynch, the Attorney General on Hillary Clinton's email investigation, meaning that Obama's DOJ let this Russian lawyer enter the United States to meet with Don Jr. even though she had no visa. Now, this was likely done so that they could later point to this meeting as Russian collusion, which is what they did. On June 12, 2016, in a TV interview, Julian Assange stated, "We have upcoming leaks in relation to Hillary Clinton, which are great." Now the DNC knew that major damage control would be required to soften the blow of the leaks coming out. On June 14th, the DNC released a statement saying that they had just discovered that their servers were hacked. They also cited that the hacker gained access to their Trump opposition research. The same day, a private contractor of the DNC called CrowdStrike produced a report suggesting that the Russians infiltrated the server, also mentioning Trump opposition research. I should also mention that the president of CrowdStrike is Sean Henry, a former FBI agent who used to be the executive assistant director to Robert Mueller, so that's probably a conflict of interest. June 15th, a Romanian man calling himself Guccifer 2.0 takes responsibility for the hack, claiming to be WikiLeaks' source. As supposed proof, he produced the Trump opposition research that CrowdStrike mentioned just the day before. But Guccifer 2.0 chose to use a Russian VPN server to cloak his real IP address. Ultimately, he has never produced anything that actually proves that he hacked the DNC beyond the fact that he acquired this document. Nonetheless, the media ran wild with this story.
Russian military intelligence, or the GRU, compromised the email accounts of Democratic Party officials and publicly released victim data using the Guccifer 2.0 persona and DCLeaks.com and in exclusives to media outlets. They also relayed material to WikiLeaks.
WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange said that multiple parties had access to DNC emails and that there was no proof that Russia was behind the attack.
3 cybersecurity experts told us that the DNC emails were hacked by Russian intelligence. What do you say?
Well, there's no proof of that whatsoever. We have not disclosed our source, And of course, this is a diversion that's being pushed by the Hillary Clinton campaign.
By the end of June, a group of Bernie supporters decided to sue the DNC for election fraud, because as we know, the Democratic primaries were rigged. On July 1st, 2016, a man named Sean Lucas served the DNC with a lawsuit.
Well, this is going to be a service to the DNC.
Okay.
And this is for Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Perfect.
You guys have been served.
Okay.
Thank you so much. We'll see you in court. Guys, thank you so much for everything. Have a great day.
Thank you.
That was probably the most gratifying thing I've ever done.
You ever done?
On July 5th, 2016, FBI Director James Comey admitted that there was evidence of wrongdoing with Clinton's private email server, but through an exhausting use of mental gymnastics, he decided she shouldn't be prosecuted for breaking the law.
No charges are appropriate in this case.
He also wrote his statement exonerating Clinton several weeks before the investigation was even over, before the FBI had even interviewed Clinton, meaning the exoneration of Hillary Clinton was predetermined. The very same day that Comey cleared Hillary in her email scandal, Christopher Steele met with the FBI to peddle the now-debunked Steele dossier. Steele and Fusion GPS founder Glenn Simpson also engaged in secret meetings with Associate Deputy Director General Bruce Orr, whose wife Nellie Orr happened to be a paid employee at Fusion GPS who worked on opposition research on Trump and contributed to the dossier. So in short, the DNC and the Clinton campaign, which we now know were the same thing, paid the law firm who paid Fusion GPS, who paid Christopher Steele, who paid the Russians to put together a fake dossier about hookers peeing on a bed. The day after Steele met with Bruce Orr, the dossier was used to get a FISA warrant to spy on Trump associates. The FBI knew of the political origins of the dossier but buried this material information in a footnote in the warrant applications. According to the Nunes memo, the now-fired Deputy Director, Andrew McCabe, testified that no surveillance warrant would have been sought from the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court without Steele's dossier information. On July 10, 2016, DNC Data Director Seth Rich was murdered. The police claim that the murder was a botched robbery, even though nothing on him was stolen. And a few hours earlier, a couple blocks away, a locked gun box from an FBI van was stolen. July 12, 2016, Clinton uses Seth Rich's murder as a way to bring up gun control. Real classy.
Just this past Sunday, a young man, Seth Rich, who worked for the Democratic National Committee to expand voting rights, was shot and killed in his neighborhood in Washington. He was just 27 years old. Surely we can agree that weapons of war have no place on the streets of America.
July 22, 2016, 3 days before the DNC convention begins, WikiLeaks releases 44,053 emails that undermine Clinton's honesty and campaign. Among those emails are some that detailed DNC Chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz's support for Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders. July 23. Without any evidence, reports start appearing in the media about the then GOP candidate Donald Trump and collusion with Russia.
Collusion.
The collusion.
Impeachment.
And this was solely based on the information provided by the DNC's private contractor CrowdStrike. The DNC alleged in federal court that the crimes were committed against its servers, but for some strange reason they deleted the operating systems on all of the affected equipment before the FBI could investigate. July 26, 2016, in a linked email between John McCain's aide, David J. Kramer, to Kurt Volker, the U.S. Special Representative for Ukrainian negotiations, it reveals that David, who was fiercely anti-Russian, was trying to get signatures to start an FBI investigation into the supposed Russian cyber hack on the DNC. It was also David Kramer who obtained the Steele dossier and leaked it to the media and then gave it to John McCain, who gave it to James Comey. August 2, 2016, Sean Lucas, who served the DNC just a few weeks earlier, was found dead in his bathroom at 38 years old from a cocktail of drugs. Close friends of Sean said that he was not a drug user. And just as a spooky conspiracy coincidence, CrowdStrike received large sums of money from the DNC the very day after both Rich and Lucas died. The DC police chief in charge of Seth Rich's case says right now we have more questions than answers. On August 9th, in an interview on a Dutch television program, Assange appeared to suggest that Seth Rich was a source of the leaks.
Whistleblowers go to significant efforts to get us material and often very significant risks. As a 27-year-old works for the DNC, who was shot in the back, murdered just 2 weeks ago for unknown reasons as he was walking down the street in Washington. So
That was just a robbery, I believe, wasn't it?
no, there's no finding. So
What are
that's
you
the
suggesting?
sort of.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that our sources take risks, and they become concerned to see things occurring like that.
But was he one of your sources then? I mean,
we don't comment on who our sources are.
But why make the suggestion about a young guy being shot in the streets of Washington?
Because we have to understand how high the stakes are in the United States.
WikiLeaks also offered a $20,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of Rich's killer, while the DNC only dedicated a bike rack to Seth Rich. Why would WikiLeaks put up a reward like that if there was no connection? On August 10, 2016, the day after Assange's interview aired, a Democratic crisis PR consultant named Brad Bowman was assigned to Rich's family to speak for them.
I want to call and ask you a couple questions regarding your representation of the Rich family. May I ask, are you doing this pro bono? I am.
August 25th, in a text message to Robin Young, Guccifer 2.0 says that Seth Rich was his whistleblower. Young later tweeted that she gave information about Seth Rich to the media and the police, but no one cared. September 2nd, 2016, Putin says that Russia didn't hack the DNC. And then Rachel Maddow went actually insane.
Russia, Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, Trump campaign in Russia. Russia, Trump, Russia, Russians, Moscow, Russian. Russia.
September 15th, the Washington, D.C. police chief of nearly 10 years unexpectedly resigned, citing the criminal justice system in the city is broken as the reason. October 7th, WikiLeaks starts to release John Podesta's emails. These were gained through a phishing scheme. And the same day, the U.S. intelligence agency says it's confident that the Russian government was behind the DNC hack.
Based on uniform intelligence assessments, the Russians were responsible for hacking the DNC.
Can you promise the American people that this election will be conducted in a fair way?
Of course the elections will not be rigged. What does that mean?
October 16th, CNN's Chris Como says that it's illegal for anyone but the media to read WikiLeaks.
Also interesting is, remember, it's illegal to possess these stolen documents. It's different for the media. So everything you learn about this, you're learning from us.
Because he's an idiot, and that's what his handlers told him to say. October 17th. In the middle of the email releases, Assange's web access is cut off, and he accuses a state party of involvement. And within 48 hours, Clinton claims 17 intelligence agencies have all concluded that the cyber attacks came from the highest levels of the Kremlin, which was simply not true.
This has come from the highest levels of the Russian government, clearly from Putin himself, in an effort, as 17 of our intelligence agencies have confirmed, to influence our election.
As you know, the IC was a coordinated product from 3 agencies, CIA, NSA, and the FBI, not all 17 components of the intelligence community.
And they still at no point had investigated the DNC's server. October 24th, the Wall Street Journal reported that Jill McCabe, the wife of Andrew McCabe, accepted nearly $500,000 from the Political Action Committee of the then Democrat Virginia governor, a very close friend to Hillary Clinton, making this just another conflict of interest. October 2016. The FBI uses falsified DNS logs to tie Trump to a Russian Alpha bank in order to get a FISA warrant to spy on Trump and his associates. And the media made fun of Trump when he tweeted that Obama wiretapped him, but now it's been proved that that was true.
You're not suggesting, though, that spying occurred?
I don't, I guess you could, I think spying did occur. Yes, I think spying did occur.
November 8th, Trump wins the election. Hillary blames James Comey, Russia, and WikiLeaks rather than just accepting the fact that she is a loser.
But I was on the way to winning until the combination of Jim Comey's letter on October 28th and Russian WikiLeaks.
December 12th, McCabe's senior advisor, Lisa Page, and Peter Strzok, who were both on the Trump and Clinton probes, text messages were turned over to Congress, revealing their massive bias favoring Clinton over Trump. This kind of bias could have definitely tainted the investigations. December 14th, WikiLeaks associate and former British ambassador to Uzbekistan, Craig Murray, confirms that he was in Washington in September to get emails from an insider with the Democratic Party who was disgusted at the corruption of the Clinton Foundation and the tilting of the primary election playing field against Bernie Sanders. He also said that neither of the leaks came from Russia. The source had legal access to the information. The documents came from inside leaks, not hacks. December 29th, Obama imposes sanctions on Russia and expels 35 diplomats based on the claims from CrowdStrike about Russian hacking of the DNC. And at this point, the FBI has still not examined the DNC servers to verify CrowdStrike's findings, despite James Comey saying that there were multiple requests at different levels to look at the servers. May 9th, 2017, James Comey is fired. Rod Rosenstein told Trump to fire Comey, and then he appointed one of Comey's best friends, Robert Mueller, to take his place. May 15th, Rod Wheeler, a private detective looking into the death of Seth Rich, said that the police were told to stand down on Rich's murder investigation.
There are claims that the D.C. detectives were told to stand down.
Right, and that's a claim that I actually heard myself from a detective who said, Rod, we were told not to investigate this fully. Now, see, that's interesting because that's consistent with what this federal investigator said. The federal investigator never knew, Lou, that I had heard from a detective in the police department to stand down. Well, if this guy says the same thing, you have to start saying to yourself, well, maybe there's some truth behind this. Now, I don't think that the police department has intentionally covered up anything pertaining to this case. I think it comes from someone above the police department. That's just my sense, Lou.
May 20th, Kim.com tweets to Sean Hannity, I knew Seth Rich. I knew he was a WikiLeaks source. I was involved. May 22nd, former DNC chairwoman Donna Brazile allegedly called police and the family of Seth Rich and demanded to know why a private investigator was snooping into Rich's death. Donna Brazile was also the CNN contributor who was caught leaking Clinton debate questions. But apparently no one cares about Hillary Clinton trying to subvert democracy during the 2016 election. May 30th, Kim.com sends a statement to Robert Mueller claiming that he has evidence relevant to the Russian probe, but never hears back. August 1st, a recording of Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Seymour Hersh is leaked, and he claims that Seth Rich was the WikiLeaks source.
He makes contact with WikiLeaks. That's in his computer. But anyway, they found what he had done. He had submitted a series of documents, of emails, some juicy emails from the DNC. But WikiLeaks got access, and before he was killed, I can tell you right now, Brennan's an asshole. I've known all these people for years. Clapper's sort of a better guy, but not rocket scientist. The NSA guy's a moron. And the trouble with all those guys is that the only way they're going to make it to a board or two and get hired by SAIC to deliver some fat cat contracts is if Hillary stayed in. With Trump, they're gone. They're done. They're going to live on their pension. They're not going to make it.
February 16, 2018. Mueller indicts 13 Russians for posting memes on Facebook. January 25, 2019. Roger Stone is arrested in the middle of the night at his house, but yet CNN coincidentally just happened to be there for some unknown, unexplained reason, meaning that they either have psychic magic abilities or they were tipped off by someone on the inside. March 11th, IMF Executive Board approves a $4.2 billion fund for Ecuador. March 13th, Lisa Page admitted that Obama's DOJ was ordered to stand down on Clinton prosecution. March 24th, Attorney General Barr presents a summary of the Mueller report stating that there was no evidence of collusion. April 11, 2019, Julian Assange is kicked out of the Ecuadorian embassy, allegedly because he was skateboarding and because of his cat. He was then immediately arrested for encouraging his source, then Bradley Manning, to get a password 10 years ago, and there's been no evidence that the password attempt was even successful. April 18, 2019, Mueller's report is released showing no collusion. So in summary, Hillary Clinton is a criminal who owns the FBI, DOJ, and likely the media. She rigged the primaries against Bernie Sanders. It was likely Seth Rich who leaked her emails to WikiLeaks. He was then killed mysteriously. A coup was attempted against a sitting president by pushing a Russian collusion conspiracy based on no real evidence, just made up gossip and falsified documents funded by Clinton herself. These fake documents were then used to illegally spy on Trump and his associates. The witch hunt has lasted years and cost the American taxpayer over $30 million, all in order to smear the president and to divert attention away from the crimes committed by the DNC and Hillary Clinton. And now Julian Assange has been conveniently kicked out of the Ecuadorian embassy just days after the country receives billions in funding. And do you think that it's a coincidence that Assange was arrested right after the Russian probe came to an end, showing no Russian collusion? This has nothing to do with his work with Manning. This is just the excuse they're using to extradite him to the United States. Assange knows who really leaked Clinton's emails, and hopefully he can work with Attorney General Barr to get some sort of plea deal by blowing this whole thing out of the water. But if Assange goes to jail for this, it would be completely unconstitutional, and any journalist who is not standing up for Julian Assange right now is really, really dumb. War crimes, human rights abuses, corruption, election fraud, and abuses of power are crimes, and telling the world the truth about those crimes shouldn't be. Thank you for everyone for all of your support on Patreon and Subscribestar, and if you want to get a Truth Factory Russian bot t-shirt as a souvenir of this investigation, there is a link in the description. Thank you so much and have a great night. Pew!